Okay, here we go. If you hear the beep, you just tell me to stop straight away. Okay, we start from how we stopped at. I remember last time we stopped at where I could get information and register someone. So it was news under users. We could create a user here under index, create new user, and here new user. There's a control of what? Of new user, and there's a control of users, okay? And there is a controller, there's new create user. So let me put that link here. Let me put that link here, that you should have that link just at hand, that you should be able to do what? To browse to it. So to put that link at hand, Husna, you've not sent me your work, and you're just telling me you've done, and you have not sent. So I don't know who you're sending to your work for evaluation. Anyway, big girls now, not push you so much. You know what you're doing. So I'll go to news, index here, and then where is I'll go to views. Under views, I'll go to home, I think. Yeah. What are we loading here? In the news controller, we are loading index. Okay. So I'll come here to index.php. This one is what we are loading, and we are loading this. Okay. So I'm going to put a link here that will lead us to where? To create user, to create new user. So to do that, I'll just simply say anchor tag, and then I put PHP, and then I press tab key and press equal sign. That's another way of echo link. I already told you that. So after, I'll have to do what? I'll have to say site URL, and then I'll put what? I'll put the name of my controller, which is users controller, and I put stroke the method, so I can put here, even if it's small, it has no problem. Users controller, and then I put the what? The method of create user, right? Create user. So I'll put create user here, and then I can say create new user. If you don't understand, you tell me, okay? You just open your microphone and tell me, okay? Have you listened, members?
Yes.
Okay. So here we are. So here we see create new user. So if I click on this, I will get this one, create new user. So I'm going to create new user, and again, for example, username, I'll put Mirabira. Those are the names. Bira. Okay, let me put username, Bira, and password. I put 1234, and then first name, maybe Bira, and last name, maybe Halima, and details, student at Farah Feni Secondary School. Create user. Yeah, user is created successfully. So we did that logic in the previous class. So I want when you create user, we should redirect. Okay, this is now create user. That's it. So let me go back home. Now I want to create here list all users, view all users. Okay. So to view all users, what will I do? Let me create here another list. So I'll just come here and change this one to what? To all users. Of course, all users, they are on top of what? Of users. So even if I don't specify here, it will take me to the top of users. For example, I can put here see all users. See all users. So I'll come and put here what? Maybe a BR to separate the two. Husna, I hope you're following. Husnata. It is zip is a problem. I can show you. Okay, you'll show me and then I show you how to zip. What's wrong with zipping, Husna? Okay, I'll explain to you how to zip. But that's a small problem. Okay, I'll see, but try to follow along, try to follow. So here we are. I want to click here and see all users, right? See, I click here, it takes me to the top of this control of users. So I want on top here to see all users. So you can see here under index of user, I see users all. Okay, users all. Okay, so here I want to put a link. Maybe here should be just home. I can put a link to what? To home. Here we are. Okay. So here you can see all users, right? So we're going to fetch the users from what? From the database. So I can come just simply to my project, and under my project I come to stroke what? User guide. I don't know whether you guys have started reading this documentation. And just stroke your project, stroke the top of your project. There is what you call user guide, and you find everything that you want in your project. The documentation. I told you to start reading these notes in your free time. I insisted, but I don't know whether you've started. But I know you have a lot to handle. But still, find a way, find a way. Okay? So database reference is here. So I can show you here where there is query. So Coordinator has two ways. Have two ways how we can deal with the database. We can either use the Coordinator to create for us the query, or we can create the query for ourselves and tell Coordinator to execute it. I repeat, Coordinator has two ways how we can communicate to database. One is asking the Coordinator to generate for us the query. Here I call it generating query using Coordinator. And the other way, we can also create our own query and ask the Coordinator to execute it for us. So here I can see here we are having this query of what? Of results. We can as well write our query and then execute it and then write like this. So this is how we write a query in Coordinator. For example, we want to write a query that is going to fetch all the users from the database, and then we'll ask the Coordinator to return for us the result and then be able to populate them. So to write a query in Coordinator is very, 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 very simple to communicate to the database. You just simply write your query, and then after writing your query, you say query, or you say the data, a certain variable or the result is equal to this.db.query, and then Coordinator returns for you the what? The response. And then that response will come with all the results. Your task is just to do what? To loop through those results and display them. As simple as that. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write the query here. Okay? I'm going to write the query. I can as well write this query in functions and then be calling the function to do that for us. But I'm just going to simply write a query by myself, and then later we shall put in a what? In a function. So how will I write the query? My query is going to be SQL is equal to select all from where? Users. Okay, select all from users. That's all. Okay, that's all. That's the query. So the next thing is that we have to fetch the data from where? From the use from the data from this query. Or we have to ask a Coordinator to run for us this query. So to ask Coordinator to run the query, we just use, for example, I can say data is equal to, so we stand on this, and then db, and then query. So by doing like this, Coordinator will be able to execute for us any kind of query that we pass, whether it's a deleting query, whether it's a selecting query, or anything. So I will come and pass this query here. So and then query will deal with the what? With the rest. But let me just get what is being returned. I repeat, I just write the query. After I reference to the DB, and then I say query, and then I pass the SQL that I've just written. So let me see what is going to be returned. So I'll echo the pre tag, and then printer dump the what and dump that query. So I'll come and do it, and I'll come and refresh. Oh no, this is not my project here. So I'll come and refresh. So you can see the query has been returned. But if you can see, this query does not have our real data. This is just a snippet of what is happening in background. For example, you want to determine the number of rows which have been returned, the number of fields, the number of what is going to be returned. Okay, you can use this we can use this object, okay, this object to determine even how much you want to create a loop that's going to fetch the data from the database. So this is this is what is being returned. Okay, this is what being returned. So we base on this one to fetch the results. Okay, we base on this one to fetch the results, and to fetch the results, as you can see here, we just say query result, and then to return for you the result. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the results. Or can say this one, I can call it a resource. That's a resource. And then to get the data itself, I can just say data is equal to this. Okay, no, not this. We just based on this on this resource, and then we point at result, like this. Result, not results. I think. Let me see. Is it result or results? Result. Okay. So as you say result, it will return for you the remaining information. We get a resource from the SQL. Then from that resource, you can check if everything is okay using that resource, using what has been returned here, the snippet, this one. Okay, connection ID and the rest, they are here, and then the result information is here. The length, the number of rows that are going to return, all the information are here. So I'm going to get the data here. How do you get the data? We just based on the resource that has been returned from the SQL, and then we point at result. Then to bring us back the data. So if I come and refresh, you can see the data that we're expecting has been returned. The data that I was expecting has been returned. So our task is now to loop. So it is as simple as that. Anyone who has a question so far? Members, anyone who has a question?
No, I don't have any question.
You don't have question. Very good. So, yeah. I'm going to scan them. Okay. After 1 hour. All one file or separate file?
One file.
Okay. At 10:30 you'll find them. Okay, so I hope you have understood, members. So this result will return for you the data. I hope you've understood. So it is as simple as that. Okay. So another technique, if you're sure that, for example, if you want to get to use the other snippet, if you if you don't want to use the other snippet, if you don't want to use it, you can as well do like this. See, just see. You can as well do like this. In case you don't use you don't mind about the other snippet, the resource, you can as well do like this, and then it will take care of the rest and return for you the data. So it is as simple as that. It saves your time. It saves your time in your project. Okay. So instead of looping and whatever, fetcher, soak, all that, Coginator takes it all. In one line, we are able to do what? To connect the database and fetch the data. So if I could write this SQL, for example, inside this, so what could have taken us to connect the database and do the rest? Can you see? It is just exactly one line, and one line will take the care of the rest and connect to the database and return for us the data. So it is that important. It is that important. but just to maintain, I'll just keep it for 2 lines. One line to write the SQL, the other line is to fetch the whole data. The loops and the rest will be taken care of. Hope you understood that. I hope so. So I'm going to display this data. Maybe I should create a table. Where I should display this data. So I just simply say table, and I'll put here in the head, maybe I should put the ID. So this will be TH also, and after the ID, maybe I should put the what? First name and last name. So I should just put name, and then after the name I should put what? Profile photo. Look at it later. The registration date, the registration number, those I can look at it later. Maybe the details, username and password, maybe username, maybe details. Okay, so after doing that, now we have to do what? We have to loop this data which has come back and display it in what? In our table. So I'm going to loop. So to loop, I'll just loop through this row. Okay, so it's going to be PHP what? For reach, and then I'll put here our data. I'll come and do what? And wrap all this code, and then cut this one and come and put this one step ahead, and then put PHP and then paste there. I hope everyone can do this. Okay, so here we are now going to do what? To represent the data. So here I can make this one TD, TH for the ID. Okay, so as I'll be looping, the user will be coming here. I can maybe make it U to make it as simple as possible. So U. So here I'm going to remove this one, and I put PHP $, $, and I point at what? At user ID here. Okay, user ID. So I can come and put the name. So the name is going to be, so instead of putting here data like this, it's going to be first name joined with what? With last name. So first name dot like this dot joined with what? With last name. So I'll come here and change this one to what? To last name. Okay, so I'll duplicate. I'll come and what next? Username. So username will just simply copy this username. I don't know whether you guys are mastering my techniques. My technique, I first dump the data. After dumping the data, I come and copy one object of this data, and then I comment here and I paste it. So that I'll be copying from these ones and I paste them there. So by doing this, you'll not make a mistake. Fat, do you know, have you seen that technique? Fatma?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, please always use it. It will save you from making mistakes. You first dump to see that everything is okay. After dumping, then copy one of the row there, comment, paste it, then be using those variables to display, and then you will be free from what? From mistakes. Good. So like that. So that username, I can put also some details. Just go to Shift D, not here, Shift D, and then so they are good to go. Even if I delete this, I can delete, but no problem. So I come and refresh, everything is okay, exactly like the way what I expected. So let me put here what? How do you make the table have the what? Have the borders? I forget. There's one. One, is it one attribute? I don't know, border one, is it?
Yeah, border one.
Perfect. Yeah. We're becoming masters. Very good. So by putting border one, we will have what? We'll have our borders in simple terms. So that's it. I hope there's no question so far. So you can create a user, click there, create a user, maybe John, and maybe password 1234. Last name Do and password. Wait, what was that? First, okay, John, last name Doe, password 1234, create a user. User created successfully. I'll go back home, refresh, click on see all users. John Doe has been added. Husna, are you getting? Yes, I'm recording, baby. Let me make sure I'm recording. Are you recording? Husna, I hope you're getting. Don't rely on recording. Anything can happen. Husna, are you following?
You were not recording.
I'm recording. Okay, she's following. That is good. So, I still have time. So, that's it. That's it. So if if we are all understanding, that's beautiful. So let me put here the edit and what and delete. Then we'll be done with crude. Beautiful. So I'll begin with delete, right? So I'll begin the edit. Let me begin with edit and then delete. So I'll put here action, or maybe I can put here edit, and what? And delete. Okay, so here in edit, I'll just simply come here and duplicate this one and make this one edit, just like anchor tag, and then here in href I echo the what? The edit, the ID. So now I'll look here. I'm going to use the other form for creating user. I'm going to use the same form to edit. So what will I need? I'll need the what? The link. So to create the link, I'll just simply say PHP, of course, PHP site what? Site URL. Okay, and I pass the what? I pass what is the link for creating users? It's under users stroke what? Stroke. I can come here in the control of users stroke what? Stroke create user. Control of user stroke create user, and then maybe I pass the action of edit. Can you see? I'm passing the edit attribute. I mean the edit get, right? So here inside the edit get, I just attach there the ID of the user that you're going to edit. So when to check where someone want to edit, I'll be checking the edit get. If the edit get is set and the user ID is existing, then I'll do what? I'll know that, hey, it's time to what? To edit. So I just do like this. I repeat, members. I just say site URL, and inside site URL, I pass users as the controller, the method of what? Of edit, and then I pass the question mark inside the get, and I pass edit. And inside this edit, I attach there the what? The user ID that we want to edit. So here I'll just put edit, like this. Members, if you don't understand, you just ask, please. So if I come and refresh, we'll have this link, edit, edit, edit. But you can see here, when I move my mouse over here, I have edit a particular user that I want to edit. So I hope you're understanding. So if I click here on edit, you see, it takes me to create what? To the create user. But here you can see, can you see my get? Inside my get there is what? There is edit. It is not like that first time for the create user. Here all users, if I go to home, if I click on create user, let me go to home. If I click on create user, the get is what? Is empty. But here the difference is, when I see all users and click on edit, the get is coming with what? With edit. Is there a question?
No.
Okay. Okay, so if there's no question, let us now check. Now here, what I'm going to do here in create user, I'm trying to use this form to do the both tasks at once. So I'll come here in what? In create user. Inside here, the view of create user. Here, create user, right here. So I'm going to check if there is a action for edit. So how will I check that there's action for edit? I can do like this. So I can do like this. There are different ways. There are different ways you can do this. So there are many ways. So you can also think of your own way. But for me, one of the way that I can use, I have also not many ways, but one of the ways I can use, I can check if what? If is set the get of what? The get of edit. Okay. So if I know is set, then let me die here and say echo time to edit. I just die like that. Okay. So let me refresh. Can you see? Time to edit. Why? Because there is edit. But if I go back home and I click home and then I click on create user, everything is okay. But when I click on all users and I click on edit, you see, time to do what? Time to edit. So let me now know what I want to edit. So I want to edit what? User ID, maybe user underscore ID will be equal to an element that has been passed in what? In this get, like this. So I know the user ID is this here. So I can just say time to edit this guy. So like this, okay? Dot user ID, dot user ID. So I know I want to edit 1. So if I come and click here on 3, I want to edit user 3. So what do I need to do here? Now I need to do what? I need to get this user so that I should have his previous information at hand. I should have his previous information at hand, and then I load it inside the what? Inside the form. So how do I do that? I just simply do like this. I just simply do like this. So here is the action for edit. I'll share this code. I'll share with you this code. So I need to get the user from what? From the database. But I'm tired of writing the SQLs separately. Yet I know one time I'll need those what? I'll need those information from. I'll need to use those functions. So why don't we start creating our own functions inside the models of my function, or inside the mode of my function, so that we should not repeat ourselves. So instead of, for example, here we fetch this user, why didn't we write just this as a function so that we should not even repeat ourselves? So to do that, I'm going to start using the functions to write this SQL. Other than because if we don't do like this, then we'll have to repeat ourselves again and again. So let me begin with get all users, and then I'll come to get particular users. So I'll just cut this and then come to what? To models. You remember model when the other one that we started with? Then I'll come to my model of my functions, and here I'm going to put a function of that gets all users, okay? So I'm going to write here the SQL, the function. I'm going to call it get all users, and the logic of get all users is this one. It's just it gets all users and then it gets the data, and here we return the data. So I can just simply return the data here like this, return data. Okay, so here instead of getting users like this, maybe sometime we may need to change, we may need to limit that particular user should do like a certain thing. So instead of repeating ourselves, let us gather all our functions in one place so that we can reuse them, or we can find simplicity in editing them. So instead of writing this SQL, I'll do what? I'll reference to the functions. So let me see how I auto reloaded this my functions. So I'll come to config and come to auto reload. I see where I auto reloaded my functions. Did I auto reload them? Yes, I auto reloaded them, and I shortened them. I just make them F. You can as well auto reload and then you keep on using my functions like this. But if you want to make them short, your model, you can give it a short name. So I'll know if I want to access anything in my function model, I'll just reference using what? This F. It can be G, it can be it can be even a name, something that will be simple for you to access. You can rename this here like this. So instead of getting users here like that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say, where is it? Users, all users, okay? So it's going to be this capital F, then I point at the functions that are inside there. So here it will be just the same. So it will come and get these users from this function. I just return the what? The users. So I hope I'll not get any error. You see, when I go to all users, it is still exactly the same. Something is wrong. Oh, too few. Okay, so I am not supposed to pass anything here, right? Yeah, like this. Then you're good to go. So perfect. Everything is still what? It's still just like they were expected. So let us work on edit. So like that I told you, it is time to edit. I'm going to write a function that will be getting for me a particular user by user ID. Okay? I'm going to write a function that will be getting for me a particular user by user ID. So how do you write that function? I'll just duplicate this one and modify it. So I'm just going to write get. Members, I'm a bit faster, but I'm slow. I'm fast, I'm slow, because I'm faster in speaking, but I'm explaining everything, so I'm slow and I'm repeating some stuff. So for example, at this moment, I want to write a function that is going to get for me a user by what? By ID, so that I should not repeat myself every time I want users what? Users information. So I'll just say get user by what? User underscore ID. So it means that this function will expect something, right? It will expect something which is user ID. So I'll come here to my functions and I say someone who calls us must give us user ID. So it will be select all from users. So I put a what? Condition where user ID is equal to this user ID that has been sent to us. Okay, so I'll just pass this like this. Okay, so there we are. Now I fetch the data. Now remember, members, not here. Notice here, when it is a single user, I repeat, when it is a single user, what were we doing? I mean, when it was multiple users, what were we doing? We are returning all the rows. You see, here it returns you an array of objects. Okay, it is an array of objects. I repeat, when there are multiple users, or the SQL that you select, it will return you multiple arrays, even if it finds you, even if it gets for you one record, but that one record, it will be in a form of what? In form of array. But when someone calls for user data, they don't expect an array, they expect an object, because it's one user. So why would we send an array? So, but here we know to return a what? It return an array. So instead for us returning the array of one particular user, let us return the data of one user object. So how shall we do that? I know this will be an array, so what I'll do, I'll first check if it is not empty. If it is not what? It is not empty, this array, then I'll do what? I'll return the first element, whether it is bringing two elements or what, but I know my user ID will have one, so I will return the first element, and the first element in array can be accessed like that. So else, if it is empty, let me return a what? An empty array, maybe array like this. So that's an empty array. So one of the two. So if you're calling, I repeat, if you're calling and you're expecting a particular record or one particular record, you should always return a single object, not a what? Not an array. Assume that you're writing a news project. When you're fetching a news article, then that function should return one particular news article, not an array of articles when you ask for one article. But if you're fetching a certain category of articles or all articles, or a certain range of articles, then you should return what? You should return a range of array, or a range of what? Of articles. But here I'm expecting one article, so that's why I'm returning one particular article, like this. I hope you understood. So here I'm returning this first array, this first object in array, else I return an empty array. So that's when I'm returning from a user IDs, and you know it's only one user who will have an ID. Here I'm returning for many users, all users. So I'll come and do what? And call this one, this get user my functions. So what will I do? I'll just simply come here where there is create user. Okay, so I'll have to do what? To get the user, right? I have to get the what? The user data. So to get the user data, I'll just simply say maybe u is equal to this f, because it's a function, and then a pass like this. Okay, so I'll just pass the what? The user ID here. So I'll expect to have the data here. Okay, so what will I do? I will just maybe let me put here some pre-tag and see if everything is okay. I believe everything is okay because I have experience in this thing now. So I dump the u. So if I come and refresh, see, exactly what I was expecting is what has been returned. Any question? Members, any question?
No, sir.
You understood? Yeah, and you can see it's a what? It's an object. So I have the what? The user data there. So I want now, let me not die. Let me close this pre-tag here. And not die. And we see what you need to get started with. So notice these techniques, okay? So we need to get started with what? With username, password no, password is never shown again because it's already hashed, and then maybe first name and last name and details. In case we want to edit someone, we want to get started with those. So to get started with something, I always have one technique that I always use, because instead here we could again come and check if this is set and then do all that stuff. What I always do, I don't know what of you, but me, what I always do, I always set, for example, I know I'll need first name here, right? I'll need username here. So what do? Let's see what I'm going to do. I'm going to get username here, the way it is. I just say username on top of everything, just on top of everything. Before I get this data, I just say username is equal to what? Is equal to nothing. So I know username will always be set, but it is set to what? To nothing. Okay? So I'll come here in the field of username. In the field of username, I give what? I give value, and I put PHP and put equal sign like that. So it will not cause any problem whatsoever. Why? Because username is nothing and we've set its value to nothing. So it is always set. I make sure that that thing is on top before what? Before getting the user data. Okay? So it is always set. Whether it is edit or not, it is always set. But in the edit bracket, I will have to update it because I know it is now time to do what? To edit. So username will be username. Do you see that technique? Can you see? So it is updated now. Fat, did you see that?
Yes.
You've got the point, right? So username is this one will help you to check if it's set, do this. If it's not set, do this. It will save you. Just set it always to nothing, okay? And always echo it. So whether it is editing or it is adding new, it is always set. No more errors. But if there is edit, you do what? You update it. You get it?
Yes.
Yeah, very good technique. You should know it. So what else? Password that was never shown again. So first name. So first name, it will be here. So first name, I'll just come and do the same thing. First name, and come and update this one. Like this. So I'll come here and just come and copy this, paste it here, copy and do. Then okay, just do like this. Copy this and do save. Then come here to first name. Do the same. So come and do the same to last name. Last name. Husna, I hope you're getting. Put your comment in the section if you're not lost. Husna, can you comment in this in the chat box if you're still okay? In case you're not okay, I can repeat for you. Just put your comment in the chat box. Okay. So I'll come here to details. So I'll just update these details. So I duplicate it here. So details is always set. So it will never cause an error that you have not set this and this. So I'll come here, duplicate this, and come to details. So here in text area, I'll have to put it in between the text area. I just copy. Okay, I'll just put here in between text area, which is what? Which is details. So there we go. There we're good to go. Okay, we are good to go. Everything is okay. So I will just create here another boolean. For example, one of my tasks, one of my logic that I always use. You can create your own logic, yeah, no problem. But one of mine, I just say maybe is edit, eh? Maybe I can say is edit task. Is edit task, or you can say is edit is equal to false. So is edit is always false, but unless when it is editing really, so I create a boolean, and this boolean is always false in case there is no edit, because remember when you're editing there's something that you have to take care of. Okay, so I make this boolean to be true when there is what in the edit, what in the edit bracket. Maybe I can also make this user to be always set user ID. Did you understand that, members? I make it always false is edit, but when there is edit action, I make it true. Did you understand that?
Yes.
Very good. I hope that yes means a real yes. So let me comment this. Let me delete this, okay? So there we go. That's our form, right? That's our form. So now is editing time. It is editing time. Now I have to do what? To update the UI. Instead of creating user, I can say editing user. So how will I do that? I just check here. As simple as if. Let me put here if. I just say if okay, if is edit, and then I surround it here. Okay, if is edit, can you see? If is edit, and I put here the else, right? The else. I don't know the right, you know how to write those kind of ifs. Okay, so I say if is edit, then I can say editing user, and else I put create user. So it is one of the two. If is edit, I know this edit is set to true when there is editing logic, and it is else it is what? It is create new user. Maybe create new user. So at this moment I'm expecting it to show me. Oh. Okay, let me use our own ifs. In fact, okay, it's supposed to have here some these dots. I don't know how to use this if thing. Oh. Let me use our normal ifs, eh? Okay, so if is edit, I put editing user, else create what? Create new user. So you see, editing user, and if I come for the first time, for example, if I come here, home, I come create new user, you see, create new user with no any error, and everything is empty. But I come here all and then click here, edit user. So here, instead of saying create user, I'll put what? I'll put update user, right? So I'll come here and check if what? If, just write PHP and put your if is what? Is edit PHP else PHP move it down here one step ahead. So here it is what? If it's edit, then say update. I say update account, eh? Update. Here it is else create account. So you see, update account, else edit account. So in the first time it will be, I hope you can see how to deal with UI, eh? I hope you can see that. So one more last thing, we have to know the element that we are editing, okay? We have to know the element that we are editing. Otherwise, when you submit this form and we don't submit the user ID that we want to edit, then it will be useless, okay? So I can add one more input that will always be hidden, and that input I can just say, I hope you're understanding. So I can just put here if, let me write my PHP, right? If is what? Is, I already have the is edit here, so I can just use that same bracket here inside the is edit. I'm going to put another what? Another input, right? Another input, but this input, its task is to do what? Is to send me the user ID that I should update. And remember, this user ID is here, and I update it when there is a get of edit. So I'll come here. That's simple logic that should be. So I'll come here and maybe make it edit and give it a value. I give it a name of edit and give it a what? A value of the edit, the user ID of the kind of the user that I want to edit. Can you see? Let me make it read only, so that user should not be able to read to do what, to change it. So I make it maybe read only. Okay, so I can know that I'm updating this particular user. I cannot change it, eh? Read only, right? So there we are, and then I can update, so it is read only. So if I click on all users, I click on user 2, it is changed to 2. If I click on all users, I click on user 3. So what is sent to get is being sent here, right? I hope you're understanding. Because I want to use that one to check if there is a what? There is a editing task. Now another thing, this is not important for the user. The user don't need to see this. What will they know that this is about? So what do? We have to hide it. Okay, we have to do what? To hide it. So I'll just put what? The hidden attribute. Did you understand? So if I make it hidden, that will not be seen because the user does not want to see that. Okay?
Yeah.
Good. So there we go. Now, instead of so we now need to check for what? For edit task. For edit task when you're submitting, right? So I can just come and check for this. Edit. This name, no one has it before. Remember, you can, if you, there is one that you're using, if username is set, something like that. So here I'll just check if is set what? The post of what? Of edit. Then I'll do the edit task. So I'll just check and maybe put here. So since it can be one task, either edit or what, or create, so I can put here else, so that they should be attached to each other. So I can check if is edit. Okay, if there is set of what? Of post edit, then I'll know that hey, there is someone who wants to update the user. So if there is that post, what I'm going to do, I'm going just to echo the pre-tag here, and then I'm going to dump. I'm going to do what? To dump all the tasks that I want to do what? I want to edit. Let me just dump it here. Okay, so I'll dump all the posts. So I refresh, everything is okay. Maybe instead of Jogni, I'll put John like this with a H. Okay, so I just I'll do what? I click on update account. So you see, everything is okay. Okay, it's now time to do what? To edit, and you know this one has come here in the edit section. I hope we are together, members. Are we? Are we together? Members, respond if we are together. If you missed, if you lost, I can repeat somewhere. So
Yes, we are together.
yeah. Had you back?
Since when?
Since you went for dinner. Okay, so members, I hope we're together, right? So I just check if there is edit, others I'll check if there is maybe submission of username. Then I'll know here there is something like adding new user, but here it is for what? For creating new user. And if there is this edit, and when do I set this edit? I set it here where there is what? Is edit, and I give that edit a user ID, and this is the user ID. So now let me start let me start doing what? Let me start collecting data to prepare what I want to edit, right? What I want to edit. So I can as well update it the way it is exactly, but it's not good. I'm going to first check what I want to update and what I don't want to update. Okay? So I can first even know what are the rows. So let me prepare the data that I want to update and what I don't want to update. So I'll come here to the edit section. Let me put this data in a what? In an array. For example, I can check the first name, I can check the last name, okay? Or I can use the same post to do what? To be put in the database. So let me use the same post to save time. So what I'm going to do, this is the data that I have in a post, right? This is the data that comes in the post. Username already handled. I don't want to work on that. Maybe I can check if the username is less than 0. I should reject this user to do what? To update it. I can check if the username, something like that. We can first check. You can do those form validation before you edit. But this is not the main task today. But you have to do the form validation in case it is a real world project, whether the username is already existing, whether, so all those things you have to do them before you update, right? But since it's not a real world project, I'll not check. So I hope the username is okay. So the password here, there's a issue to do what? To deal with the password. First of all, I may first check if the password is not empty. If the password is not empty, then I'll update it. But if it is empty, I'll not update the what? The password part. Did you get it, members? I'll update the password only when the user is submitting another password. Sometimes always first validate the password, like if the password is matching with the other one which is on database. So I can do all that logic here. So my logic will be simple. If the password length is less than 1, I'll do what? I'll not update it. So how will I do that? I'll just check if str what? Len of what? Of post password is less than what? Is less than maybe 3 or is less than 2. Then I'll do what? I will unset it. Okay? I'll just remove it from what? From the things that you're going to edit to update. So I'll just say unset. This is how we remove. We delete. I just unset it. In case the password is less than 1, I should unset it. So you see, if I because I've unset it, I know it's less than 1. So you see, the password has gone. Why? Because it is less than 1. So otherwise, if you do a mistake and just update the password from this point, then what will happen? And then your password, every time the user updates his account, his password will be changed, which is horrible. So I'll put here else. Then else, in case it submits something in the password, then I'll have to do what? To update the password. But remember to do what? To encrypt the password. Otherwise, if you update it without encrypting, then it will also be meaningless. Okay? So I'll just encrypt the password just like we did previously. I hope you understood, right?
Yes, but you wrote 2 instead of 1. Less than 2.
Yeah, less than 2. So if we enter 1 as his password, still will not update.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my rule. So you can also create a rule in your own project. You can just give any condition. The point is that you can give any condition at this point. You know, sometimes when you want to update your password, they'll first ask you your previous password. So you can do the same. You first check the previous password. If this previous password is correct, then you can go ahead and update. So here it is where you make the decisions from. And you know how to compare if the password is correct or not correct using password verify. So we proceed. The password is okay. So now this one is already set. The first name is okay. The last name is okay. Now the user ID of what we want to do, what we want to update. Remember that user ID. I can say user ID. User ID. Remember, we have to do what? To get it also. But this user ID, I sent it through the what? Through the edit input itself. Can you see? You remember when I hidden something and do something and make it required and make it read only? That user ID. Because I knew I will need it when I'm submitting this form. Otherwise, if I don't have it here, how will I know that I need to edit a particular user? So I need this user ID, and I sent it inside this input that I hidden here and put the edit. So that's also a very important thing. When you're editing a value, or when you're editing a property, an element, you should send its ID when it is being submitted. So I'll check here, user ID. I can get it inside the what? Inside the get. Inside the edit. So I can say edit user ID is equal to so I'll come and do what? Sorry. It is inside the post and then edit. Okay, so there we are good to go. Let me come and refresh. So this is user ID. Now if I come and refresh, everything is okay. The username, the first name, the last name, and the details. I hope these details are okay. And the details. Everything is okay. Now it is time to update the what? The database. Okay? Fatimata, let me ask you. In these attributes, in these indices, which index is not on our database rows? The database columns.
Edit.
Very good. Very, very good. Edit is not in our what? In our database column. That's excellent answer. So, it means that if we insert this like the way it is using the Coordinator database helper, what will happen? It will cause an error because there is no column called the edit. Okay? So what should we do? We should do what? We should unset this. Okay? That's a very good answer. So we need to do what? To unset it. So I'll do what? But I unset it after doing what? After getting what I want from there. Don't unset it on top here. Otherwise, if you unset it on top here, what will happen? Then you'll not be able to get what it brought for you. So I'll have to do what? To unset it. So I'll just say unset. You can as well keep these variables in another variable. These things from post, you can keep them in another variable, no problem. So I think now the columns that you have in our database, we have them here. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So there is no other column that is unique or strange to our database. Now it's time to do what? To update our database. So to update the database, what do we do? In Coordinator, we have it helps us to do that also. So you can come to this documentation and look for what? For update. And then you'll see. Members, come and read these things. They are really beautiful. Okay? Query builder for update. We call them query builders. So you see, first of all, you first set. Okay, so listen carefully. Listen very carefully. First of all, you first set. I don't know. Wait. Okay. First of all, you first set the data you want to update. You first set the data that you want to update. And then after setting the data that you want to update, then you give the condition where you want to update. And after giving the condition that you want to update, then you update. Those are the three simple steps that Coordinator gives us to update. You first set the data you want to update, then you set where the conditions of the element that you want to update, and then later you update a table. And this is how we do it. These are the three simple conditions. After you've arranged the data either in array or in a object, and make sure the attributes, the columns, that the indices that you have in your array or an object, they are matching exactly with the columns that you have in your table that you want to update. Then you do like this. You say this db set. Then you set that element here. You set that data here. So Coordinator will see how it will relate this is equal to this, this equal to this, equal to this. Just would say this db set. Then you're setting the data that you want to do to update. Setting data that you want to update. To update on the database. That is step number 1. Step number 2, you have to set the condition. Otherwise, if you don't set the condition, it will not what? It will update everywhere. Everywhere you'll find every row have been set to that to the data that you do what? That you updated. So it is also very important. So step number 2, you do what? You say this db what? Where. Okay? Where. Then this where you pass the conditions where this is equal to this and this is equal to that. But our condition is just one like this, where the user ID is equal to our user ID. Okay? So our condition is where the user ID like this is equal to the user ID variable. So coordinator will take care of that. Okay? So okay? So if you have another condition, you can pass them in an array. But our condition is just simple and one, where the user ID is equal to the user ID that we are having. So that's the second condition. And then the last one is to do what? Is to update. So to update, I'll just check if I want to check if it is successfully updated. If it will return true or false. So if this db update like this, update, and then here you pass the table that you want to update. Which table do you want to update at this time? You want to update the table of what? Of users. Okay? So you can say successfully updated. Else fail to update. Okay? And then they is there anyone who can ask a question here if you do not understand? Did you have a question? Like, I don't get this point. Hadijat? Hadi?
Oh, no.
You understood, right? Yeah. So you first set the data, you set the condition, and then you update and pass the what? The users. I mean the table name. So if I refresh here, can you see? Successful. So successful. Let me just redirect. Okay, successful. Now let me go back and click on all users. You can see it's no longer John, but is now, remember it was John with G, but is now John with H. So let me edit this. I put here maybe Masika Sumaya. I update successful. So I go back to all users. Can you see? Masika, yeah. I did not update. Did I? Okay, Sumaya Halima. Yeah, this is the first name and last name. But you can see the name has been updated and everything is okay without messing with the other. So that's how coordinator saves us. So if you're working with a big project, instead of update this, set where it's got this one is equal to this, that is equal to that, that is equal to that. No, coordinator say, hey, don't worry about that. I'll help you do that. It helps us and it solves that problem. Did you understand? Members, did you understand?
Yes.
Good. So let us work on delete now. Seriously? Who cheated my time?
Time is moving.
That's impossible, right?
It's possible.
No, someone must have played with my clock.
Every day.
Seriously. Eh? No. Okay, let's work on delete, but I can't believe this. Okay. So let me put that's one.
Time has finished.
Okay, just 2 minutes and finish the delete part. So let me put the delete. So I have to come in the controller. Seriously. By the way, it is the student who feels time that is going. But a teacher, they never feel anything. Even when I'm studying, I feel like, oh, time is not even going. So I put delete user. Just put delete underscore user in the control of what? Of users. So let me just die here. Maybe time to delete. Okay, so I'll come here inside our table of all users. So I'll change this one to delete. Maybe I pass here user underscore ID, and then I'll pass delete. So if I come and refresh, something is wrong. At line 11, line 11, where? Controllers, user controller. Oh, I forgot to put semicolon. I was feeling it, how I forgot to put something. Delete user, line 17. Oh, did I write it 2 times? Crazy. Okay, so everything is okay. So let me delete this user, this one. So deleting user, right? So but you can see I already passed the user ID here in the what? In the gate. So I'll pass here user ID in the gate. Refresh, delete user. So let me get the user ID here inside the gate. So I can do that. I can do that even using my what? My controller. I can do that logic here. So instead of saying delete user, so I can put, for example, in this user delete, I can put, are you sure you want to delete this user? Something like that. And if the user confirms, and then you can delete. Okay, in your project you should put that. You should put the confirmation of deletion. Don't delete directly. That is one task in your project. Make the user, there should be confirmation. Are you sure you want to delete this user? Then if I click delete, then it should be deleted. You'll see how you do that. That is your assignment. So I delete the user, so I'll get the ID. The ID will come from what? From the gate, so I may not even check. So get user. So let me see if this ID is there. So I can write the function that deletes the user. Oh, I can